So hi everyone who joined us today and welcome to Method Academy webinar. So my name is Maria Soroka and I have my colleague Michaela with me here. We work for the agency that is called Fastuna and we are doing testing in an agile way. And we also have our guest speaker, Lyubov Ruchinskaya from Colgate. Lyubov is part of the innovation team in Colgate. And she's going to share her knowledge with us, how they approach NPD testing in Colgate-Palmolive. And just to repeat myself, a bit of housekeeping, please use the chat box for your questions and comments, and we will be able to pick them up in the end of the webinar.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me, Fastuna team.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Lyubov. Well, I think let me start now, and I think you all heard this one before. About 95% of new products fail. This is a huge number, but did it ever occur to you that this means 95% of your time is wasted? Or in other words, your success rate is only at about 5%. Quite frustrating, right? But not to worry, I have some good news for you because your success rate can be increased. How? We will tell you how. So the agenda for today is we've set up this webinar in order to help you increase your success rate and avoid having your ideas killed on the spot. So this way, you not only save valuable time, but you will save your company money. So being focused on what you're trying to achieve from the very beginning and being clear at each stage of the idea development really helps you to build a strong business case to sell your idea internally, and in the end leads to a successful product launch and a successful product. So we will focus on two things today. First of all, concept writing tips and how to test those concepts in an agile way, meaning quick turnaround, learn as you go, and get actionable insights to create a strong business case to push the idea forward. And we will be very focused to give you also an opportunity to ask questions once we're done. This will take about 30 minutes. So we give you foolproof concept writing tips, agile ways to test your NPD ideas, and how to interpret results as a strong business case. Now let's have a look at creating your concept. And all you know how to create a concept, right? Else you wouldn't be doing your jobs. So why then do 95% of concepts fail? Well, it's because it's not that easy to create a successful concept. So we will share with you on how to create your concept that way that you give it the best chance to win also with your consumers. So I'm not telling you anything new when I'm saying that a concept is a description of a product or a service that you want to market and sell to your customers or consumers. So there are different ways one can approach concept writing. The most popular ones are the ones that are used in classical marketing, right? So that's like insights, benefits, RTB, drills, and newer ones, or more common amongst UX users from value proposition canvas, like pains and gains and jobs. So remember, these two concepts, good concepts, should include these two: insight or pain, benefit or gain. So you need to first of all tackle an unmet need of your consumers. So you need to understand what are their unmet needs. The second one is you need to describe the key benefits of your product to the consumers, which is the benefit or gain. And thirdly, you need to explain how your product is going to work to resolve their issues. So let's have a look at how to create a great concept.
Yeah, and we actually, what we did was Fastuna, after we tested, hundreds and hundreds of concepts, we kind of developed this template that has all the critical beats that are important for the good concepts. And by the way, we will send you this template in the follow-up email. So we found that the following www structure works actually the best for consumers. So you can have your what in one sentence. That it's kind of a short description of the product in consumer-friendly language. And you have why, where you describe the main benefit of the product and give them reason to believe why it works. And as an option, you can also add references to specific target audience. Sometimes it's needed, like for whom this product is, if it's not obvious, like for healthy eaters, for active moms, and so on. And also when, in which occasions they can use the product. Sometimes it's good to specify this too. We also suggest to use some visuals that can be, anything really to demonstrate your point. So all in all, we will give you some tips as well a bit later, how to write a good concept. And I just want to share with you a couple of examples that we have that we actually tested internally. So this one was tested by us in the past. Just to demonstrate how our platform works, and it was the very first drops and helped us to find out what improvements had to be made. And as I said, we just use this as an example, and it does have all the important elements in it. So it tackles the unmet need of consumers to save money and save planet. It also provides, kind of quick sketch and drawings and explanation of the potential product execution, which you can see here in the bottom.
And now, as you can see, this is what a concept sort of might look like, and this is how it looks put into real life, if you want. And this looks very similar to the idea we initially had, but of course it's not the Colgate idea we had. We just tested it for fun. But as you can see, this is what a finished product can look like once it's gone through all the development cycles. And maybe, Lyubov, from your experience within Colgate-Palmolive and Millward Brown, what innovation process might help to develop and bring to the market a strong novelty? And maybe you can share with us the most successful projects you led and how you came up with the ideas.
Thank you. It's a brilliant question. First of all, innovation is not a luck, it's a science. And it's a good news because we can learn how to innovate efficiently by analyzing success and failures. So as you start and open your presentation saying that in most of the cases, novelties that hit the market, they fail, and only the meaningful product stays. So the competition is very high. So the intent is to fail faster. And for that reason, of course, Fortuna proposed very good solution to test ideas and to screen down from the noise only the meaningful ideas. So like Edison said, I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. So I'm also a big fan of key leaders in the industry that are advertising their own models and techniques, how to innovate efficiently. And one of the model I want to share today comes from Jeremy Gucci, CEO of the company Trend Hunter, and his book Exploding the Chaos. So we use this model many times, and this is only one of the way how you can initiate internally the innovative process. So first of all, you need to open source leadership and gathering new ideas, looking at the problem from completely unique angle by partnering with new vendors and bringing new talents. Secondly, keep the people in the center of innovation process and prototype with them. Do not ask people what they want because they don't know, especially at the time of crisis when their needs change by the minute. In opposite, propose the solution, listen to their feedback, adopt the innovation and repeat the process. Make people the part of innovation and creative process. So the secret lies is in applying this iterative process of asking feedback and adjusting the novelty to people's feedback. Even after the product hit the market, we keep doing that. So we keep asking people, what do they think and how we can further improve it? Because this is an ongoing process. And continuous improvement, one of the value of my company, and I can firmly say that this is one of the value that every innovator should have. Because in the end of the day, we are bringing product to solve people problems and make their life better.
Yeah, this is great. So thank you for sharing that, Labov. And I think it's so important. The first thing you said was dare to fail, because it's not a failure, but it sort of sifts out the right product from those that won't succeed in the market. So brilliant insight. Thank you so much for sharing this. So let's have a look at some tips on how to create a great product concept. Maria, maybe you want to continue?
Yes, sure. I will share my tips as well. And it's the first tip is very much actually what you both mentioned, is about understand your consumers first. So before you actually even rush into writing, something about your idea, you identify who is your target audience. And once you know who they are, you just walk in their shoes, and what Lyubov said, bring humans in the heart of your innovation. So go and get insights from them. There's so many techniques available in the market, around, qualitative techniques, ethnography, observation, design thinking, way to approach empathy, and so on. And even some, quantitative research is available as well. So we actually developed design thinking guide that pulls together that a kind of a short description of the methods that you can use at each stage of the design thinking process. And the link is here, and you will also have the link in the chat as well. So this is tip number one. My second tip is, once you already know what your idea is, how you approach to the writing of it, you need to be really single-minded. So the first thing is one insight per concept. So if you have more than one unmet need you want to tackle, or a few ideas how to communicate the product benefit, you just create another concepts. So it won't hurt if you test kind of the same idea, but articulated differently. And then it will actually give you the benefit at the very early stage to understand how not just to, to develop the product, but how to market it. And so this is the win-win, I believe. So please do use consumer-friendly language, especially if you work in the teams that is really heavy loaded with, like, some kind of scientific research and development people. And I guess everyone knows that sometimes they like to use very specific language. So what I would always say to people who come up to me and we do some trainings or like given advice in terms of like how to write the concepts, I would say, imagine how you would describe it to your babushka. And this is not my babushka. Babushka is a grandma in Russian. So it's not my babushka, but it's someone else's babushka. So she needs to understand what you are selling, right? So this is, but however, just one thing, don't be too informal, because sometimes it can feel offensive to people. And the last tip from me is probably one of the most important one: use visuals. So that help bring your ideas to life. And here you can be absolutely creative. I came back from like 20 years in market research when we were told by more traditional suppliers how to, how to present the concept, what you can use as a visual. I personally believe, based what we're testing on Fastuna, that you can use anything, just how to bring it to life. And again, think about your babushka. It can be images, pictures, photos, drawings, sketches, or even videos. Like in our platform, you can test now you can test videos like that will show the product in 3D. That gives the best opportunity to really feel into your prototype.
Yeah, and by the way, we tested this chopstick fan you can see on this one picture, and we did it just for fun. That was great fun. People just didn't understand that at all. So that's definitely a product you wouldn't bring to market.
Yeah, but the picture tells it all, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's it. So that's the point. So, okay, once you get your concept done, so go and test it with consumers.
So we have so many tools available these days to make your job so much easier. So not using them is like being a cassette player instead of being Spotify these days. So the turnaround time for consumer surveys, for example, is as little as 2 hours. So you can have a brainstorming session on your ideas in the morning and you will have the first results in the afternoon. This is super quick feedback from consumers. So imagine how your draft can be improved in just a few days instead of weeks or months like it used to be. And you can collect valuable feedback to already pass on to your marketing teams and your KPIs. So your product moves from being among the 95% to the 5%. So that is true agility. So how do you approach testing in an agile way? Well, there are 3 principles to testing that we recommend to apply. The first one is fast turnaround. So the feedback from your consumers comes within a few hours. So you can adjust changes super quick. The second step is once you have the test results back, you can adjust your concept, move it to the next stage and test it again. So again, you can improve before you even thinking about developing it further. You know exactly where to improve it. And the third one is the focus. Make sure that you include only the key metrics into your test that will feed into the decision making. So skip anything that is not necessary. Keep it slim, so to say. So let's have a look at the iterative fast learning, which Maria will explain a bit more because she's so experienced in this.
Now, I just want to say a few words and that this is a real example from one of the clients who ran the sprint workshop and they just developed, tested and adjusted all those elements within the course of 1 week. And I know that it's not just, you know, it's very common these days. Though from my personal experience, from my previous experience in the past, when I worked in the client side, sometimes this process could took like weeks, and I'm sure that Lyubov is also can share, you know, the same kind of experience at her end, because I know that now everything that is done in Colgate is done really super quick.
We have different projects and we have different work streams, and of course the length of the project depends on the size of the product and the size of the price, let's say, what we want to launch and how. So there are different alternatives how you can approach internal innovation. But the true thing is that you can not tackle the problem by the concept. You can divide the concept into standalone elements and try to improve it. So if you truly believe in the idea that solves the issues of people and you want to improve it because, for example, the first time it didn't work, you can just start improving elements by elements to try different names separately by testing and screening them, try different packaging designs, try different icons on the pack. So to divide it in small pieces and go through the iterative process. So that's what I said when I was presenting you the method that we are applying sometimes internally, to keep people in the center of the creative process, constantly asking their feedback.
So Lyubov, at what stage in the concept creation process would you usually start to involve consumer surveys? So how early do you get them involved?
From the beginning.
From the beginning. Okay, so that's very important to notice, from the beginning.
So people are the essential part of your creative process. Today you can invite them and to make them the part of your creative workshop. So people might participate as an experts and as a people and give you very clear feedback from the beginning, because what we are developing and prototyping sometimes might be very far from the reality and what people are searching for. So today we are solving their issues and their problems, how we can do it without them.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for your feedback on that.
Yeah, and I like this was what we mentioned, the previous approach of the value and the pay, you know, jobs to be done, pay and gain, and jobs to be done. So jobs to be done for people is how your product can service people. So I really like this angle.
Yeah.
So how to bake the best test? So let's see what ingredients do we need for our recipe to bake the best test. And maybe that will be partly answer the question about the penetration that was asked earlier in the chat. Is the first actually step, and I already mentioned target audience, that it should be done as well when you test, and you should be very precise in terms of like with whom you are testing. We are all in Fastuna big fans of Byron Sharp's book, How Brands Grow. And I actually was lucky enough to get the signature of him in my copy of the book, because I was at his lecture here in London. So he actually shows a statistical proof why targeting wider audiences help brand and new products win in the market. And so what he states, and you can see this quote below, is the brands grow by focusing on new customer acquisition driven by increasing mental and physical availability, resulting in behaviorally loyal buyers. So he always speak about, if you just take your, what we call like prime target, you might miss, especially for your innovation, you might miss quite a big chunk of consumers that might buy your product in the future. So for the quantitative study, your target audience for the product would be all the potential users or consumers who might need the product, even theoretically, and who can use the product in reality. So if you think about potential penetration in the market, think wider. And we actually have the blog post about it. So what are the reasons why you always need to think wider than you think?
Yeah, it's very important as well. So read that blog. It's great, full of tips you can use.
Yeah, of course, then you can slice your data, look at the special subgroups, how different subgroups resonated with the idea, how your prime target resonated with the idea, but always think wider. And to define your target audience, and I am covering this because we had some questions from the, from the participants in this webinar. They wanted to learn more about how to define the target audience and the tips. So our tips are like, personally, we know there is like 3 components of the target audience that should be there. Is like, obviously your demographics, your geography, and what is their need. And this key need actually will define your screening questions. For example, if you think about, selling pet food or like dog food, let's put it this way. So you might want to ask them question about like dog ownership. If you want to sell soft drinks, you might think broader and think, okay, I might study on the test on the non-rejectors of the soft drinks. But if you think about categories with high incidence rate, for instance, like a toothpaste, or toothbrushes, you will probably test on anyone, because the probability of those who might not use the toothpaste or toothbrush is very low. I mean, I'm talking about obviously a developed market like Western markets.
Yeah. And if you're totally lost for key needs, you can always run a consumer survey as well, find out what they need, what their key needs are.
Exactly. And I have this tip I personally use. I always keep define target audience in the view. So I write it on the sticker note and place it in my Kanban board. So the next step before you start to research, and I hope you're still with me here, but we will move to the research in a second, is just I want to tell how important it is to define the measures that will guide you if the product success or failure. So in Fastuna, we're using really simple framework within the most of our solution, which is based on the model, which is called IESIS model. And it was developed by Dentsu at the beginning of 21st century. And it's basically evolution of AIDA model. It's about decision-making process in the digital world. And on top of like 5 critical elements on how consumers get engaged with the product nowadays, we also added some emotional questions like likability, relevance, understanding, trust, and we also added uniqueness, of course, for the new product. And they all have high correlation with action, like want to try the product. So whichever tool you are using to test your concept, our recommendation would be always to track the same KPIs. I mean, not necessarily those KPIs, but the same KPIs that you would test again and again to collect norms. So you can, for any new concept you are launching, you can immediately see, you know, if the product, if it hits the mark or it needs an improvement. And I also want to ask Lyubov, maybe Lyubov, you can share a couple of tips and like on KPIs that you're using in Colgate.
Again, it very much depends on the objective of the project. Maybe if you're testing only one concept, you just want to see what are the red signs and yellow signs of it, and to return back to the creative process to improve these directions. If you have, if you are testing many concepts, the intention is to choose the strongest ideas. And for me, it would be the two signifiers, the ability of people to consider to buy the product and the ability of the concept or the product idea to stand out. So it's like purchase intent and uniqueness. I would use this direction. But again, it very much depends on your internal process, what you're working on, where you are, how many ideas you're testing, which stage you are. So Fastuna allows to get the feedback very quickly. That means that you can make this iterative process even more frequent. So you decrease the breaks between the connection with people. That, of course, significantly improves the quality of your stimulus.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, Lyubov.
Yeah, I completely agree with it.
Maria, we are running a bit short on time, so.
Yeah. So I just want to show, I will show a couple of slides then and how you can then interpret the results and build the strong business case. So I would say that once you have your measures in place, you can always very easily create the output that will demonstrate where your concept sits, by your key KPIs. In Fastuna, we use this very simple dashboard that shows the concept performance versus the benchmarks. You can use more advanced visuals like, cross, let's say purchase interest with uniqueness and get the quadrants. Whatever you're using, just be clear where you want to go. And this was actually visualization, clear visualization will help you to sell this, the concept, the idea internally. And the same, I would say, and always ask the open-ended questions, because then you can also, enrich your presentation with some quotes from real people, as Lyubov said, like put human in the heart of everything. So, and you can see immediately how, how Colgate Keep performed. That, and the people were really engaged with the product because they loved the key message and they loved the execution. So those two elements made actually the product being really successful.
Just a quick remark that Fastuna team tested it after we launched it. So they voluntarily take the description of the product from the shelf for the learning purposes, and they validate it with their tool. I hope that you will get these results by testing your own ideas, but if you don't get green in all dimensions, that's totally fine, because this product was tested after we promoted in social media, after people tried it. That, of course, I would say boost a little bit the results that you most likely won't see for the new prototype.
Yeah. So, but this is mainly used to improve the areas where your product needs improvement. So you can see once the areas have improved, then you will see a far greater results.
Yeah, totally. I completely agree. I think the tool, don't go with into the test with the mindset to be or not to be, kill the concept or not. Go with the mindset how I can improve.
How can I how can I turn it into a winning concept?
Yeah, and what to learn from consumers. So I think that's it. To wrap up, just to you know, to make your idea shine, just make it focused, actionable, engaging, and visionary. And just want to show you the couple of slides about us. So yeah, remember that the best way to predict the future is to create it. Is really everything is in your hands. Well, maybe not everything, but a lot.
A lot.
A lot. Yeah, just be proactive, be brave, be creative, and you got it.
One tip from my side, don't fall in love with the solution. Fall in love with the people's problem and try to address it. And if it not works from the first time, just keep repeating the process again and again until you succeed.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Labov.
Great that we have this in recording. And yeah, and so test your ideas with us. If you feel inspired, contact us at ask@fastuna.com, and also subscribe to our Method Academy. We are going to run a series of webinars like this, and it also have a lot of information beyond just what was presented. So thank you very much, everyone. And I'm aware that we ran out of time, and I think Lyubov needs to go. And thank you very much, Lyubov, for your input. It was really great and inspiring. Bye. And
thank you so much. And for those who stayed on, please, if you have questions, drop us your questions now. We are still here to answer anything you want to know more about in detail.
I think we have some questions. So there is a question from Nick, who actually, I think, said he was called Paul, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry if I'm getting it wrong. Suppose we are testing a food product and we conduct surveys. It's very opinionated based on people's preferences. And how do you figure out what will be success, and how do you go forward with many options? Yeah, that's a good question. I think that we partly covered it. So we test on the broader sample. We would always test with one concept will be tested with at least 100 people. And then we would advise that you can go to more people by the concept to increase the, the statistical robustness. So we would use two indicators. First indicator we showed, it's our benchmarks or norms that we apply for all the concepts we test. And so basically you can see in the traffic light system immediately shows you where are probably the gaps in the concepts. And then we advise to read the open ends, because people will tell you if something is not great, where you can tweak or adjust the concept. And obviously another thing we use is the comparison between the concepts. So we compare all the concepts between each other, and then we show statistically where the differences are. And then so you can choose between and again, back to the question about the comment about KPIs. If you're driven by purchase interest or trial interest is important characteristic to you internally, and you will look probably on that in combination with probably uniqueness, but again, it depends on what your objectives are. But we always suggest to look at all of the KPIs and see where you want to move with the product.
And if you're not sure, send us your concept, send us what you try to achieve, and we can help you sort of look at it and then advise you on how to best research into that. And Maria is amazing when it comes to finding great solutions.
Yeah, and the last comment I want to make here is that you always can include your competition.
Yeah.
So test versus, if you're not sure, test versus competition, and see how you do, you know, and where you sit. So yeah, that is a lot of
Just an example is plant-based milk. So right now, if you, for example, if you are a producer of plant-based milk and you want to come up with a new product, you would, for example, test against Oatly to find out how is my product doing and how is my packaging doing and how is the entire concept doing compared to them, for example. So you choose a strong competitor in order to compare against. So this is one way of doing it as well. And Maria, we have another question. In terms of the engineering market, the consumer surveys, I do not see that they are as quick as we need to get into other manufacturers. And it's the operators of the machines that are the consumers and not who we can reach out to submit the survey. How do you suggest getting these into the right audience?
Yeah, thank you, Chrissy, for this question. I hope I got it right. So I can tell you how it's done in our platform, and it's also, I know that lots of other suppliers use the same approach. So we have this so-called like panels of consumers. So those people who subscribe, and you can become a panelist as well. I'm a cheeky one. I'm also in the panel, though I know I'm not allowed. Sometimes I'm like trying, but they're like people who subscribe and do the tests. We make sure that right people get the right tests, because if you are, and the panel providers, they constantly check if you are who you are. So that's why I'm seeing like I might not be getting a lot of tests, because they figure out who I am. So, but so they have information about gender and age of the respondents. So from our end, we set up the checking questions, like screening questions that I mentioned before. And we also make sure that each of the concepts are tested within the national representative split. So we look at the data, we weight the data, we set quotas on the data. So this is a number of statistical procedures that can be applied, and checking procedures that can be applied to make sure that those are like the right people we test with. So yeah. So
we would basically, I think we would also have to look into the incident rates. So see how many operators of your machines are out there. So we would sort of, you know, have a look at how large is your target group out there. And then we can see if we can reach out with this platform. If not, there might be other platforms who sort of who are specialized in your target group. So that would be how you would go about it, but we would need to know a little bit more about what exactly is it you are trying to look into, and then we'd be able to advise you on it.
Yeah, for this, I think I got the question wrong. Sorry, Chris, but I think Mikhail answered it. Yeah, we really look into the so we look, we look at the broader audiences, as you're absolutely right. But there are some, I know there are some panels and agencies that can deal with the like very narrow target audiences, like operators, engineers of the machines, or you can. Yeah, you can reach out, because there is like potentially I won't say limited number, but you know, numbers of people that work as an operators in the big plants and mills around the country. So yeah, can be very specific.
Great. I think, Maria, we've really run out of time now. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we hope to see you again. If you have any further questions, please drop us a line at ask@fasttuner.com, and we are happy to answer your questions there. All right, then, everyone, have a fantastic working day, be successful, and be happy.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.